didn't happen and the Earth is flat, and people are wondering why. It's because of this. And now, to your point about this sort of moderation thing, we can take the whack-a-mole stick after the public yells, and Renee and I, make a bunch of noise or something, and people making noise about this, and they'll say, okay, shoot, you're right, flat Earth, we got to deal with that. And so they'll tweak the algorithm. And then people make a bunch of noise about the inspiration videos for the anorexia for kids, and they'll deal with that problem. But then they start doing it based reactively. But again, if you zoom out, it's just still recommending stuff that's kind of from the crazy town section of
Is
YouTube.
the problem the recommendation?
That's
I don't mind that people have ridiculous ideas about Hollow Earth because I think it's humorous. But I'm also a 53-year-old man. Right. I'm not a 12-year-old boy with a limited education that is like, oh my God, the government's lying to us. There's lizard people that live under the earth.
Right.
But if that's the real argument about these conspiracy theories is that they can influence young people or the easily impressionable or people that maybe don't have a sophisticated sense of vetting out bullshit.
Right. Well, and the algorithms aren't making a distinction between who is just laughing at it and who's deeply vulnerable to it.
Exactly.
And generally, it just says who's vulnerable to it. 'Cause another example, the way I think about this is if you're driving down the highway and there's Facebook and Google trying to figure out, like, what should I give you based on what tends to keep your attention. If you look at a car crash, and everybody driving down the highway, they look at the car crash. According to Facebook and Google, it's like the whole world wants car crashes. We just feed them car crashes after car crashes after car crashes. And what the algorithms do, as Guillaume Chasleau in the film says, who's the YouTube whistleblower for the YouTube recommendation system, is they find the perfect little rabbit hole for you that it knows will keep you there for 5 hours. And the conspiracy theory, like dark corners of YouTube, were the dark corners that tends to keep people there for 5 hours. And so you have to realize that we're now something like 10 years in to this vast psychology experiment, where it's been, in every language, in hundreds of countries, right, in hundreds of languages, it's been steering people towards the crazy town. When I say crazy town, I think of, imagine there's a spectrum on YouTube. And there's, on one side, you have, like, the calm Walter Cronkite, Carl Sagan, slow, kind of boring, but, like, educational material or something. And on the other side of the spectrum, you have, the craziest stuff you can find. Crazy town. No matter where you start, you could start in Walter Cronkite or you could start in Crazy Town. But if I'm YouTube and I want you to watch more, am I going to steer you towards the calm stuff or am I going to steer you more towards Crazy Town?
Crazy Town.
Always more towards Crazy Town. So then you imagine just tilting the floor of humanity just by like 3 degrees, right? And then you just step back and you let society run its course. As Jaron Lanier says in the film, if you just tilt society by 1 degree, 2 degrees, that's the whole world.